Hi everyone, welcome back to Storytime. I hope you enjoy our cute little stories this morning. This Kiki and Jax, The Life-Changing Magic of Friendship by Marie Kondo, and it's co-written and illustrated by Selena Yoon. Now, it's a good story about friendship and about what a good idea it is to clean up your toys in your room so that you can find stuff. So, Kiki and Jax. And this one is illustrated by Crown Books for Young Readers out in New York. It says here's Kiki and June. And Jax, not June, but Jax. It says Kiki and Jax were best friends. But they didn't always like doing things the same way. Sounds like normal. Jax enjoyed sorting and Kiki enjoyed collecting. So I wonder, do you know if somebody enjoys sorting and somebody enjoys collecting, who do you think is going to have a messy room? Well, Kiki's collection of things grew and grew until she ran out of places to put them. So then she packed her pine cones under the bed and stashed her nuts under the rug, and then she piled all of her clothes in the tub. And when Jax came over, he says, "Do you want to go play soccer?" "Sorry," replied Kiki, "I lost my ball." Uh-huh. So, look here, poor little Jax. He went home. Well, the next day, Jax asked, he says, "Do you want to go swimming?" "Sure. Let me get my swimsuit," said Kiki. Oh, look. Kiki searched her dresser and her closet and even her toy box, but she couldn't find it anywhere. So Jax went home. He missed Kiki, but things got in the way. Maybe Kiki forgot we were friends, thought Jax. So he made something special to remind her, and he put it in a box to take to her the next day. And Jax knocked and knocked and waited and waited. And to Kiki, getting to the front door felt like she was running an obstacle course. Look, she's going, "I'll be right there." And she's having to come around through all of this mess. And here, she's even made a mess in the living room, and here, and there. And there's little Jax going knock, knock, knock. Well, by the time Kiki reached the door, Jax was gone. But he had left her a package. "A friendship scrapbook!" exclaimed Kiki. Oh, look, there's Kiki and Jax. And it filled her heart until she could just hardly breathe. And it says, "You're a very good friend. K plus J. Choose joy." So she took a deep breath and ran to Jax's house. "I missed you, Jax," says Kiki. "Can we play here?" "Sure," said Jax, and look at his neat room. So they pulled out their favorite games and their favorite costumes, and they looked at their friendship scrapbook together. And after they were done playing, Jax put the games and the costumes away. "I wish we could play at my house too," said Kiki, "but there's just no room." Yes, there is, said Jax. Let me show you. Oh, there's just so much to sort. Well, Jax was excited, and poor little Kiki felt like she was just overwhelmed, like it was just too much. So Jax is going to teach her how. He said, let's play piles. You make piles of similar items, and then you decide what to keep. So they made a pile for clothes. They made a pile for books and toys. Kiki says, but how do I decide? And he said, it's simple. If it sparks joy in your heart, keep it. And if it doesn't, thank it and let it go. So Kiki and Jack sorted all of the items into boxes for keeping, for donating, for recycling, and for throwing away. And Kiki took her time with each and every item. Here's her book. She says, oh, that just sparks so much joy. Well, Jax taught Kiki how to fold her clothes and put them upright in her drawers. And now Kiki could find a place for things that mattered most, like her favorite books and her extra bubbly bubble bath. And most important, room for her best friend Jax. Whoa, looky there. Now that is a neat room. And I bet she can find everything. Look there. She's even got her slippers set at the bottom of the bed. The end. So see, if you keep your room neat and tidy and put stuff away, then you can find it. You know where your stuff is. So that was Kiki and Jax, the life-changing magic of friendship. Okay, now I'm going to see if I can pronounce this. It says Salaparantha. The Eight-Legged Wonder, and it's by Jacqueline Clowney, and it's illustrated by Andrea Elaney. Okay. Salaparanthina. Says this book is dedicated to my mother. Martha is her name. And without her kind encouragement, life wouldn't be the same. Okay. Look at this cute little spider. Says there was a spider whose given name was simply Salaparanthina. Not Sarah, Sasha, Sophie, Sybil, Sally, or Samantha. She lived on a giant farm in a quiet country town with Chromius, the clever cat, and the farmer, Mr. Brown. She always spun her sturdy webs of shiny, simmering silk above the brown, humongous cows that daily gave the milk, silently hanging from her webs hour after hour, thinking of her tasty prey that she would soon devour. She would spin all day long above her furry friends, the goats, the cows, goats, donkeys, sheep, and even the cackling hens. The horses, pigs, ducks, and the many fluffy rabbits, the turkeys, emus, little calves with all their crazy habits. The ducks and hens laid the eggs, the mules helped harvest wheat. But others offered different things you simply could not eat. The horses gave so many rides, the goats ate grass and weeds, and all the beasts worked on the farm for fulfilling every need. But Salaparanthina wanted to achieve great things too. She wished she could discover exactly what she could do, for all her friends had purposes and tasks they could complete. She could not stop believing, and she just could not compete. She asked herself so often, but what could be my task? She looked amongst her barn friends, finding someone she could ask. Chromius, the kitty, had so many great degrees. He worked so hard and did his best and earned them all with ease. Mr. Brown, the farmer, was witty and so smart. He educated Chromius right from the very start. The kitty's main degree was displayed upon a shelf and written very carefully. Keep believing in yourself. Oh, that sounds nice. Let me say it again. Keep believing in yourself. Chromius was oh so wise, and slowly he explained. Yet after they had chatted, Salaparanthia soon exclaimed, "But I'm a simple spider, and a wacky one at that. I'm cross-eyed, I wear bright green or bright sneakers, and a furry bomber's hat." Chromius continued, "Life is sometimes just so tough. Bad things will surely happen, and you'll think that you've had enough. But you need to just keep trying and change the way you think, for you're an eight-legged wonder." And then he gave a heartfelt wink. But there had to be much more to this simple way of life, though she knew it was much better than the one filled with too much strife. She needed something different, a rest that she could take. She was tired of just spinning and needed quite a break. Salaparanthia retreated directly to the mill. It was peaceful and quiet, and it's where she could just chill. Mrs. Mouse also lived there with 6 little ones in tow, and the days were peaceful and so calm, and they seemed to pass so slow. Well, they all lived together for months and months on end. Salaparanthia and Mrs. Mouse soon became the best of friends. But she still wanted badly to achieve something great. To be so good at something, she simply couldn't wait. Salaparanthia did like living with all the little mice, but she missed her friend Chromius and all his wise advice. The mill was always quiet. One couldn't hear a stir. Then one day, from above, a rumbling suddenly occurred. In the barn, the dogs were barking and the cows were also mooing. Outside, as the sky grew dark, a massive storm was brewing. Chromius, the cat, who was as brilliant as a fox, ran to hide at lightning speed into a hefty box. Inside the mill, Salaparanthia was becoming quite concerned. She knew that these storms were scary and in the past, as she had learned. But she knew the webs that she had spun would quiver and would shake. They trembled, but would stay so strong, and they would never break. Safe on her web, she would survive through scary storms, but soon again she'd start to spin, 'cause that was just the norm. But this storm was very different. It was frightful and severe. The thunder kept on booming, and it filled everyone with fear. There was a roaring which flowed right beside the mill. It was a roaring river flowing right beside the mill. It was lined with splendid trees and twisted down the hill. A storm like this would surely cause the aged mill to flood. It would soon be filled with many things like pebbles and sticks and mud. Salopranthia was worried, not knowing what to do. She knew a plan was needed, but she didn't have a clue. All who lived inside the mill could run straight toward the barn, across the rugged wooden bridge without a chance of harm. But the old wooden bridge began to quickly bend and sway, and without warning, broke in half and swiftly washed away. The rain was still so heavy and the wind still blew so hard. The lightning was still striking and the sky was still so dark. Salopranthia also knew if the old mill was destroyed, it would be a huge disaster, but maybe one they could avoid. If we made it to the barn, then we'd soon all be okay. But how do we cross the river since the bridge has washed away? Now, Mrs. Mouse was squealing, and her children worried too. Salopranthia just kept thinking, but what are we to do? Then suddenly she remembered what Chromius had said. You're an eight-legged wonder. And then she felt brave instead. She knew she could spin webs, and ones that didn't break. She'd spin across the river, a bridge her web would make. Mrs. Mouse was frightened and then let out a mighty yelp. Salopranthia said, Don't worry, for I think that I can help. Salopranthia said to Mrs. Mouse, Just follow me. Run down to the river and then wait beneath the tree. Mrs. Mouse then grabbed her babies and ran out of the mill, across a stormy meadow and down a mighty hill. Salopranthia reached the river and the mice had reached a tree. The storm was still so frightening and the grass was slippery. She started to create her web to finally breach the river, to and fro against the winds that made her start to shiver. Without a thought, she spun a web, continuing to fight. Back and forth across the rocks she spun with all of her might. And though she was completely soaked, no other task she'd choose. For, after all, this able spider wore a hat and shoes. Oh, look at her. Mrs. Mouse and her little ones now had to get across. They were very worried, and they were simply at a loss. But Salopranthia thought that she could help with this one too. She hatched a plan for them to cross, and she knew just what to do. Mrs. Mouse, hop on my back, I'll carry you across, and your sweet tiny babies will be saved at any cost. Your infants, you have 6 of them. My legs, well, I have 8. Have each hang on to one of them. Come quick, we mustn't wait. Look here, hanging on to the legs. As they dashed across the web, surely there was no doubt. With all the mice hanging on, Salopranthia was worn out. But as she ran through lightning strikes, her courage was her guide. They landed soon on soggy ground. They'd reached the other side. They made it across the river, but could not celebrate. They had to run back toward the barn, and they clearly couldn't wait. Salopranthia ran very fast so they would all survive. Through lightning, rain, and awful winds, they finally arrived. As they stood, no longer scared, the barn doors opened wide. The animals celebrated, and Saliparanthia beamed with pride. Mrs. Mouse and her babies were crying happy tears. Saliparanthia proudly stood there, enjoying the cheers. Chromius, the smart old cat, had many things to say. The barn fell silent as he spoke while he sat upon the hay. He said he knew this spider, with her grand 8-legged charm, would discover strength inside herself and make it to the barn. She used her talents all she had, but never realized that doing just what she does best held such great surprise. If you spin webs, wear a hat, have 8 legs, or just 2, remember, always do your best and simply just be you. Just be you. The end. Okay, guys, I hope you have enjoyed the story. That was a long one, but that's okay. So I hope you will tune in on Tuesday and listen to Storytime Cooks with Carmen Long, and then join us on Thursdays for our visiting storyteller, and tune back in next Monday, and we will do another story time. So have a great week. Bless you.